can do this. I think that's important to know. But if you want to do it well and properly, you have to be willing to drop everything, no matter where you are or what you're doing, to address a situation. So if, like, right now I have an owner who there's some skid marks on the side of their driveway because automation is king. It is like the key to running a successful Airbnb business. However, it is not automatic. Looking back, I would have started this business like right when the pandemic started, because
I'm here with Josh from Deja Blue Management. Josh, do you want to tell us a bit more about who you are and what you guys do?
Yeah, my name's Josh. I'm the founder and principal manager at Deja Blue Property Management. We started about a year ago. I've been hosting my own properties for about 6 years. That was always like my side business, and I'd been in advertising as a creative director at Apple and Facebook, making their commercials and other kind of videos. And I did enjoy that, but I kind of fell out of love with it and really, kind of honed in on this short-term rental. And in LA, where we are specifically, we also do film shoots. So like every house that's an Airbnb or a vacation rental here also doubles as a film shoot location for Hollywood movies and TV shows to rent. And, I started in March. I had my 2 places. Now it's December and I manage 16 places. And it's just grown to a point where I don't need to be doing any advertising work anymore. And I'm doing this full time and trying to grow. And, we have places in LA and Palm Springs, Joshua Tree. We could manage anywhere, but right now we're kind of just in Southern California.
Right. Okay. So you've experienced exponential growth. Really, you started off with 2, and in a pretty short period of time, you've increased by 14 other properties. So your property owners are coming to you now. How are they finding you?
In the beginning, it was word of mouth. I have a pretty extensive network of people that I've worked with who, are fortunate enough to own properties. So I would say about 3 or 4 of them came from that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I had been networking with realtors in Palm Springs and LA. I created a Yelp presence, a Google presence. And then honestly, it's just been coming from that. I keep getting people from Yelp being like, hey, you should spend money on ads. And I'm like, well, I'm getting calls all the time anyway. Yeah. So
what's the main motivation for your clients to take you up on your services, as opposed to them, doing it themselves?
So I always tell people when I first meet them, I say, listen, anybody can do this. I think that's important to know. But if you want to do it well and properly, you have to be willing to drop everything, no matter where you are or what you're doing, to address a situation. So if, like, right now I have an owner who there's some skid marks on the side of their driveway because the guest, kind of did that with their car. Yeah. So like if I was at dinner or if I was at my kid's recital or something like that, like I have to address it. You know what I mean? For my owner's sakes, for the guest's sakes. And that's the difference between me and, I think, doing it yourself. Is like when you do it yourself, life kind of gets in the way if you have a family or a job. This is my career. Yeah. So and me versus bigger companies or whatever is like my responsiveness. I'm always messaging back within like 2 minutes. And that's the difference between a 5-star and a 3-star review, especially if something's broken. So. Yeah.
Well, they say that the number one factor, I got this, in fact, from a VRBO, used to be Home Away, from a VRBO event they put on in London, where I heard that it was the number one factor in getting a good review from a guest is staff attentiveness, the number one factor. So that means that if stuff goes wrong, it's expected, but you got to be there. You got to pick up the phone, you got to talk to them, you got to give them, I call it like a verbal hug to let them know that you're there. And so I can totally agree with what you're saying there, that being a big motivation for someone to use you. You're there.
As long as they know that you're trying to fix whatever issue there is, like let's say a hot tub's not working, I might not be able to fix it by the time they leave. But if they are aware, they at least see that I'm trying and it's not my fault. And then that's the difference. If I got 2-3 hours later and message them, they would be like, well, you didn't even try and help us. Bad review.
Exactly. So. Yeah. Although I would actually say that there's a bit of a hybrid in this. It comes with a caveat, me saying that staff attentiveness, because sometimes I've found in my hosting journey that you get some guests who are like just bam, bam on you, like for every small thing. And I found that with these guests that are like, there's no real issue here. Like, you know, that they're just trying to bend your ear. They're just trying to like
Yeah.
your time. I found that with these guys, make them wait for like, you know, 30 minutes, an hour for a response. Otherwise, they're just going to be there like.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the kind of thing that you get from hosting, from years and years of being able to read people and knowing what kind of guest is this going to be, someone that's going to freak out over a little hair on a pillow, or is this someone that's going to be really relaxed and cool? So you get that over time. And but I would say overall 95% of guests are not like what you described. But there is definitely learning and education needed to deal with the 5% that are.
Yeah, and I guess that your experience is what people are paying you for. That, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the experience. It's being able to handle everything so they don't have to. No, like I just had an issue with guests who were smoking inside, right? So I knew the steps to handle it, how to talk to them, how to talk to Airbnb so we can get reimbursed. Otherwise, someone who's just doing it themselves, they might say the wrong thing or send the wrong thing, and then they wouldn't get any sort of reimbursement.
Yeah, absolutely. So so what's the biggest challenge you face in business today?
I think the biggest challenge I face in business is, God, I don't know.
That's a good place to be in if you have no challenges today.
I mean, it's the kind of thing, like I said, where I've been doing this company for 9 months, and it's been fortunately wildly successful. So I haven't come across any super big challenges yet. I have learned from mistakes I've made where I wish that I maybe screened the clients that I take a little bit more. All the clients that I currently have right now are
you mean property owner, not guest?
Yes, property owners. So like when I'm a property manager, right, and people come to me and they want to work with me, all my clients right now are great. All my property owners right now are great. But I have had ones in the past where they're doing it for the money and the money alone, and they don't really want to be doing it.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're very like, oh, there's a small scratch here. Oh, you know, and I say like, listen, this is cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. So I think, and I've elevated my screening process for both guests and property owners. But in terms of challenges, I would say honestly, like I don't have any business challenges right now. I mean, growth, you could always say I want to grow more, but like I'm growing at a pace that I'm pretty happy with.
Yeah.
But we're just entering a market right now where people aren't traveling as much. And I would say the biggest challenge is, what can we do as hosts or as managers or as property owners to help ourselves keep getting those bookings? Whether it's lowering the prices, whether maybe it's doing more marketing. We're seeing a 20-30% drop in bookings kind of across the board, just because of, at least in the US, because of this recession. And that hurts, it hurts everybody.
Yeah. I've heard about that at the moment. And fortunately, so in Europe, we're not really experiencing too much of a dip yet. But let's see what the future holds, what 2023's got in store for us. So how do you spend most of your time as a host? What's your main thing that keeps you busy?
I mean, obviously messaging. When you have 16, 17 properties, you're constantly messaging people who are either staying at your properties, are inquiring about a future stay, maybe hitting up a guest that left and saying, hey, if you liked it, leave us a review. Messaging is definitely the biggest thing, but constantly every single day I'm going into my property management softwares and stuff and checking in on things, making sure minimum stays, pricing is correct, who's coming up next. Like in Palm Springs, everywhere has a pool, right?
Yeah.
So if people are coming and they paid for pool heat, I need to put into the schedule, turn the pool heater on Saturday, stuff like that. So it's really like the minute details of every single listing. And then on top of that, trying to get more clients.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of, I found that in my property management journey, that it was very easy for me to get consumed by the day-to-day management of the business, that I could overlook spending enough time on acquiring new business, which I really had to kind of like dedicate time out, be like, Right. Enough of the day-to-day running, because I could fall into that, and it's a never ending.
Oh,
Yeah, never ending. There's always something that needs done. But if
yeah.
you don't focus on the future, if you don't focus on growth, then it can escape you.
Yeah, I mean, you can tinker all day with things and it might help, which is great, but finding a new client as a manager is much more profitable than getting one place booked for this weekend.
In your position, what I'm hearing is kind of automation is king.
Oh,
Because
yeah. I
automation.
mean, like if you're running a lot of properties, there's no way you're going to remember, okay, it's 3 o'clock, 2 days before this one person's check in. I need to send the check in message. Like
Yeah.
you have to be able to, like I automate when someone books, they get a message asking them a bunch of questions. The day before they check in, they get their check in message. The
Yeah.
morning after they check in, they get a hope everything's going well message. The day before they check out, they get a checkout message, and then they get a review message the day after they check out. So it's like all of those things are so hard to do when you have a lot of properties. If you have one, it's not an issue,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's worth the extra money.
Multiply these small jobs by to the power of
Oh yeah,
16, then you're running around like crazy.
yeah. You're gonna forget things, and it's gonna affect your reviews and stuff like that.
So how do you manage your staff, your team? Do you outsource? Do you have them in-house, like cleaners, maintenance, etc., or are you
So
outsourcing?
right now, I am a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of obsessive with my work, so I haven't needed to hire anybody to take over managing or do any, I have a bookkeeper and an accountant and stuff like that. But outside of that, in every city that I manage, like the Palm Springs area and LA, I have a team, right? A team of cleaners, a handyman, electrician, plumber, landscaper, anything you could possibly need. Currently, we do outsource to other companies. But soon I think we'll be starting our own cleaning company,
Right.
called like Deja Blue Cleaning. And not only will we'll be able to service our listings at a discounted rate, we will then be able to go out and get clients that we don't manage.
Yeah. Sure.
And then, we'll go from there. Now, the only question I'm trying to figure out is, do I start it from scratch or do I buy an already existing company that already has the operational model and everything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I actually I looked into, we had a bit of a drama with the cleaning company, no, not cleaning company, the laundry company we were using, decided they no longer wanted to work with service accommodation, short-term rentals. And I looked into starting up a cleaning company, laundry company, and to acquire one that was already running. And I went and viewed one, and I had somebody in mind to run it. And just as I was thinking about doing it, I thought to myself, I got in touch with another laundry company that were able to provide a pretty good service, deliveries, drop-offs, etc. And I thought, I don't need that headache.
It really is the kind of thing where
Sorry.
you, like, for me specifically right now in this moment, my goal is growth in the number of places I manage, not so much creating another stream of income in a cleaning company. But as I grow and grow and grow, the potential profit of having your own cleaning company is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, sure.
So, down the line, when I eventually have a staff of a few people or whatever, I'll have someone that can oversee that arm of it.
Yeah.
But right now, just like you said, I'm not interested in having to hire cleaners and then they don't show up and worry about all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is a beauty to outsourcing in general.
Yeah.
Like my experience has been outsource as much as possible, even down to like I have VAs that I work with, which is it's still outsourced labor, and it like outsource a lot of the admin roles, admin tasks. And I find that it just makes life easier rather than
that's one thing that scares me a lot, is handing off the messaging to someone else. Like that is something where there's for the most part it's normal stuff, but there are so many very unique situations that I feel like I don't trust other people to handle properly.
Yeah.
Do
you know what? I had exactly the same sentiment. I had the same feeling. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, I could really see the benefit in having somebody help me do this. And I created a whole process. I literally defined the best case scenario of what would happen, what they would take care of, what they would need to know in order to take care of that. Wrote down FAQs, which are kind of like off the shelf responses, which I would respond to these kind of scenarios. And anything else, contact me. That was kind of my response to it. And it gave me the ability to not have to work every minute of every day.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
It's just I think at this moment, the way I have things set up, and we talked about automation, the way I have things set up, if I'm not onboarding clients and if I'm not launching Airbnbs, I'm really not that busy.
Yeah.
Like I can text all day from this thing, like no
Yeah.
problem. Like it doesn't affect, I don't know, I don't have kids yet or anything like that, but it's not a burden on me yet. But if I doubled in size, yeah, I would totally see that being an extremely good value. But it does. Well, the thing that it does hurt is if I ever want to go on vacation, like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the way that I viewed it was, I know that there's an expression in business that you have to make yourself replaceable. You
Yeah.
cannot be the person that does everything forever, and don't think that nobody could do the job as good as you, because you're just a human, and there are other humans out there who are probably better at this job than you are. Like it's just statistically that's going to be factual.
Yeah.
So I kind of really took that on board and thought I have to outsource it. And like the funny thing for me was the day that I had a VA that really took over. I was kind of like, so what do I do now? Like, what do I do with my day? And fortunately, I was in Ibiza and decided to go and spend a day just hanging out on beaches and pretty much having a nice time. Whereas normally I'd have done that, but there'd have been a laptop or a phone within arm's reach. And yeah.
Well, I might need to get that VA info from you. But I mean, everything you're talking about is exactly what I'm thinking right now. Like I'm in a position where I can totally do it all myself, but I know for a fact in order to grow the way I want to grow, I can't. I have to be able to focus on the growth and the sales and like stuff like that, as opposed to the pricing of this weekend for this house in Palm Springs,
Yeah. Well, then I guess using tools like a dynamic pricing tool helps with that point.
Oh, for sure. But you're still always tweaking. Like you're still always like, true. Hey, next week is empty. I'm going to put a 10% discount on next week. Like things like that,
Yeah, no, it's true. Even with like this Christmas period and a change in the economic situation overall, like there are vacancies approaching, and I'm kind of thinking the dynamic pricing would normally take care of this, and then you got to go in and you got to kind of adjust that, and you can't really. I mean, I say you can't really. Of course you can. It goes against logic for me to say that you can't outsource that to somebody else. Of course you can, as long as they've been in the game long enough and they're motivated and incentivized to kind of stay on top of that. But I think it's something that would take a lot more training to get somebody up to the point that they're gonna want to do that if they're not actually you.
And I mean, and the thing is, I will say this: like we talked about automation, right? Automation is king. It is like the key to running a successful Airbnb business. However, it is not automatic.
Yeah,
like it is not something you can set and forget. Like you will not be successful if you do that and you think, oh, I can just put in a number and I don't have to do anything for a year. No, like that's not the case at all. It's just helping you. You still have to be attentive.
Yeah. They say the only way to coast is downhill.
You and these got all these
Man, I've got a few of them. But I agree with you. You can't set and forget, because it's a constantly moving landscape, right? Like nothing stays the same. So you got to constantly be moving with it. But so what advice would you give yourself if you could look back and give yourself advice to you starting out? What would you say?
Looking back, I would have started this business like right when the pandemic started, because that was at the point when I really was like not very happy with the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
And I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just never knew in what. And now I finally found something. And my advice would just be like, if you love doing something and you're good at it, just do it. Like don't wait and don't worry about like security and this and that. Like if it makes you happy, do it. And outside of that, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with how things are going, to be perfectly honest. So
good.
I don't think I'd change a thing. Good.
It's good to hear. You sound very enthusiastic and you sound like you're enjoying it. And I'm sure that 2023 is going to have some great things in store for you with the rate of growth which you've achieved so far. I'm sure 2023 is going to be absolutely killer. Well, Josh, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And if people want to find out more about you or about your management service, how can they find you?
So we've got our website, which is dejabluebnb.com, kind of like Airbnb. You can also find us on Instagram, dejablue.bnb. And that's pretty much the best place to go and look for us, see the kind of properties we have. If you want to book, you can book direct through our site, or you can send us a message on Instagram and we'd love to chat.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you.
All right.